they weren't used to it. They weren't trained, they weren't ready for it. The Army, when the guys were coming into Saigon, same thing. They were not prepared to be here.
And some during all the war, some soldiers, some lazy.
You brought everything in. We now have a volunteer, so and you can decide what you're willing to bring in. Back then, though, you brought in all kinds, and it was hard to manage that. And you didn't have much time to train them or to put them out. By the way, my fear of this, I had to go out and do medical evacuation. The people had gotten shot, both U.S. and ARVN, and we'd go out at night sometimes, and coming back, we had and I'd have to go up into the clouds. I would be worried about, I'd be flying like at 100 feet. I would be worried about getting up here, and the only thing I could do is to hone into the radio station. I was always worried about running into these hills because you can't see them at night. When the clouds are real low and the foggy, these were that was my fear, is we got plowed right into it.
You know very well about that. I already hearing story from some soldier. They talk sent to you, and they are doing on the war so hard. So hard.
But like I said, I hold a lot of people that need to be in a hospital. And we'd haul them back. During the day is no big deal, but at night it was pretty.
But with you in that. Look like on the Marble Mountain. On the daylight, the Olomouc people during the war, they are look like a normal people. On the daylight, they are friendly with you. Say hello, cigarette and candy and everything okay. No problem, very friendly. On evening, you get it.
Wow.
They don't know. You can't recognize who is the Vietcong, who is the normal. Almost in the same way, same person. The same person do a lot of jobs. On a day, different job, on evening, different job.
Right. Wow.
Why season sometimes all of Vietcong for win. They put a bamboo trap, put a mine, they run away, and you follow them. Hit on a trap. So sad. Okay, gotta go.
Gotcha.
It's on ocean side.
The river going out of Hoi An, does it go
up and there on the
it
Liberty?
goes up in here?
Yes, Liberty Bridge and Anwar Combat Bay and Antena Valley. Arizona Tourist Story. Arizona Tourist Story and that.
Because I have the mount that I used when I was flying here. On the side of that mountain, there was a 50 caliber machine gun. We were told don't go near it. Toward the end of my flying here, they employed me in gunship. What did this captain do but pick a fight with that guy? Those guys were bad to get, they go good. You didn't mess with them. We were told don't go there, but he chose to go there. So and by the way, that 50 was back in the mountain. They had a cave way back in the mountain so they could drop bombs and didn't bother them. And they were very good. My job was to leave them alone.
Watching.
Yeah, leave them alone, it's right. So we're way up on this mountain, but you can hear them grinding, making marble down there. But also as you follow along on these streets, there's marble shops all along there. I guess because it's Marble Mountain, everybody wants to sell marble. Alright, so we came into the cave inside the mountain, because we're inside Marble Mountain, and there was a lot of Viet Cong that were in here, and they were constantly shooting at all the helicopters and anything that came by. So my dad was saying that they didn't really know that anybody was here, but they just kept getting shot at, so they just assumed we shouldn't get near the place. Whoa. Wow. So cool. So I'm way back in one of the caves. It's pretty dark, so I'm using my cell phone light. You can hear birds and bats and stuff floating around, but all kinds of creepy shit's up in here. Yeah.
We need to sort of stick together. I didn't know where you were.
So Ting was telling us that the swastika right in the center is a Buddhist symbol before it was a German symbol. And so some of the temples had this carved into the walls. Kind of weird. Who knew?
When they put in computer, they painted good photo, painted and give somebody, otherwise from Vietnamese. Another one
Made them come. Yeah. One because then the same thing. Yeah. So many of the guys who were fighting, they were forced to come. It wasn't their choice. Yeah. They had no choice. They were just doing their job. Yes. It wasn't a personal thing.
Yeah.
Young men being told to do something, and and by the way, they wasn't given much choice about it. They were going to have to go to that or go to jail or prison. Starting to bring a walking stick.
Pretty flowers right there. So cool how this temple is just like embedded in the woods. Down there is the one, we were just way down there, but that's the other one popping up. It's like in the middle of this marble mountain, there's a temple.
And coming north, don't try to outrun them on the right side. Go for the left side and then move right on by.
So this beach was such you could land on it, so you didn't mind.
Well, I didn't land on it.
Flying down it? Well, or this is all flat, so you could land in it?
I kept it in sight off to the left, but I was out of gun range.
Right.
And I knew so I could get up here, and when I saw Marble Mountain, then I could cut over to the airfield.
So you use this as a nav point, but you wouldn't get near it because they'd shoot at you.
Right. Exactly. It's all survival.
Yep. So flying at night, could you see the difference between the water and the land?
Now, at night, number one, we usually, at night, the weather, normally if the weather was bad, it was the only time I ever flew in that kind of weather at night, which is suicidal.
Right.
But all the other times, it'd be a nice clear night, so we could see the Da Nang airport lights from down at Hoi An.
Okay.
Because they had high intensity, they had a rotating light, plus you could, once you got close, you could see the, so normally we were at 1,500 feet, so you could see, usually at night, 10, 20 miles, the light.
And so it's when it gets foggy or
it's when it's got low ceiling and fog, and that's when you shouldn't be there.
And then this thing's in the way, and it's 200 or 300 feet off the deck. So
but when I was down at Tam Key, having to come back here, I was worried about this because I had what I didn't know, I knew what the winds were at this airfield, but I had no clue what the winds were between here and there, and that could blow me off because you could get 50-mile-an-hour winds when those thunderstorms are around. Normally they're not in that kind of weather, but sometimes they are. And
right.
It was raining, and there were thunderstorms in the area, so I didn't know. Now, the advantage I had, coming back is I had that ADF, and I did know how to kind of track to make sure I stayed over on that side. I plotted it on a map, and I knew what my heading was, and I sort of stayed over there. And so I knew I shouldn't, but see, I didn't know if I was going to be able to let down out of the clouds and actually see Da Nang when I got here. If I got to that point and I couldn't see it, I'm in the clouds, fog.
And you're approaching a radio tower, right?
I'm approaching a radio tower with a tower you could run into, and you had this you could run into.
Yeah.
And you had the mountains on the left side and this on the right side and a tower to deal with. And luckily, by the time I got back, the weather had lifted enough to where I actually, pretty soon, I could get like maybe 300 or 400 foot and still see, and I saw the lights of the,
right.
I called Da Nang Tower and told them to turn the lights up, and they did, and I saw it, and went, it's still real low, but I was, relatively speaking, much higher than I was.
Could they aim the light?
No. It's just a rotating beacon, and they got runway lights on the runway. Okay. But those are high intensity.
So they couldn't take a spotlight and say, hey, shoot it south so I can see you.
No. Now later on, they had a homing thing on the FM radio, and I could, if I had had that capability, which they had right after that.
Right.
They could have had the guys up on top of our hangar. They had guys with a FM radio and an HF radio, but I didn't have an aircraft with HF in it. But the FM, I could have, when they'd key the mic, I could have honed in on it. But they didn't have that capability when I was here. They did a year later.
Right.
And then they put in radar, and then they
now you can nav.
Right. We better get going.
76 hot pistol.
Wow. Wow.
And when I come to La, I bring you one hot pistol in there. Looking. Easy.
So I think what he was saying, there's a emergency hospital up at the top of this for the Viet Cong, because we're still on Marble Mountain.
I hear them story. You know everything from here to up and Delta.
Okay. Wow.
Highland Center and Delta. You go all over. You're number one man. Number one man.
So we're gonna go check out this cave. Apparently it goes like all the way to the top of this rock and comes out way down there on the other side.
Да, вот там. Дальше в углу.
За мужиком заходит.
За мужиком там. Финиш?
Yeah.
Финиш.
Wow. This is so cool. Holy crap. Gotta make it through that tiny little hole. So I should have worn my regular shoes instead of my flip-flops, but nothing like a little boulder scramble. Of course with one hand, because I got my GoPro. Whoa, yeah, that was a tight squeeze there. So he said all this is real nature. The Viet Cong used it to just hunker down, stay away from, so the Americans couldn't find them. They'd shoot at anything that would fly by that wasn't their own. Obviously this is a pretty good perch. The other side, that's the main part of Da Nang right over there. I think the airport's around the corner, but that's the river that we're on. The whole Monkey Mountain's on the other side of this big Marble Mountain thing. And then the little river that comes through Da Nang is right over there. I can totally see why they would want this as a vantage point, because my dad was saying they're flying the choppers down the beach, so they would shoot at them. I guess if you stayed over there by the beach, it's too far away. That's looking south. All right, I see more remnants of rock climbing. So, got some anchors here. And an anchor here. So let's see what this is. This is probably, yep, looking down into the other area where I just was. Wow. I can't believe that people rock climb up here. So if you come to Marble Mountain, be ready for stairs. They're kind of chiseled in here. They're uneven and definitely not to standard, but it's pretty cool to get all the way up to the top and see the view and feel the breeze from up there. Long way to go. Couple stairs missing there.
Wow. And right now almost some of our villas still in there, and most of them they're gone, and they are open for new building in there.
Wow. This is China mostly?
No, a Vietnamese company.
Really?
Yes.
Good. Yay. Hey, what do you think?
So Tang was just saying that this was made 1828. We're still up in the Marble Mountain caves. So cool how the trees just like spider web their roots to hang onto the rock.
Female get you in there. They open not from marble, open by the cement.
Hard to see up in there, but there's bats hanging and flying around. So cool. So this is the area that used to be a hospital. Natural cave.
Police, urban police, and military, the same, living the same village. They know each other. Some is the men, some follow for Viet Cong, some follow in the police,
and
some follow in
both.
Both and both.
Some did both.
On both, and they are the same village, but they make make money to sell.
Yes.
But Americans sometimes not to win, lose, because information not to, if you come that way, say that way. I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. But, how I knew that, it said I walked up Ashau Valley when nobody would go there.
Yeah.
How was I able to do that?
Yeah.
The day after the big B-52 raid, for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, to have that raid in this area, we had to tell the province chief. Told the province chief, and guess what? The North Vietnamese were gone.
Yeah. They
were probably at Phong Thao on vacation that day.
Yeah.
So when we were there, nobody was there.
Yes.
So that big B-52 raid that all the newspapers talked about.
Yes.
Zero.
Yes.
It was total waste of time and money.
Yes. Looked like a hamburger hill.
But it sounded?
Looked like a hamburger hill.
But when he wrote the report, it sounded like it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
On reality, it was waste.
Yes. Like a hamburger hill.
And I saw that.
When some American soldier to looking exactly almost NVA truck and NVA soldier come to the south. But to look a lot.
They just,
but They're not allowed for shooting because NVA and truck come to Lao lands. Near on there,
Yep.
or near Lao land, near on the Vietnam and Lao land in middle in there. But the U.S. government not allow shooting for Lao land. Only for Vietnam land it's okay. And this shooting is the wrong way.
Well, and
So the U.S. couldn't shoot at them because they were on the other side of the line.
yeah.
Wow.
And we, you know, they played. I mean, our leadership was so stupid.
And in Vietnam also, and one brother follow Viet Cong, and young brother follow Arvin. The same family.
Yeah.
But still work for the money.
Yeah. Well, that happened, by the way, in the U.S. Civil War. We had families that went to both sides, and then there was people playing both sides.
Yeah. And in Vietnam, Arvin in Vietnam to say, eating the rice come from the South Vietnam government, but worship outer for not Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, I always said a lot of times, because we didn't control who we hauled on their helicopter.
Yeah.
When we landed, whoever came out, we hauled. I said, I bet there's days in which I hauled more Viet Cong than I did Arvin. But as long as the province chief said, these people okay, we didn't know the difference.
Okay, we go.
The first time I was thinking you said Ivan because the Soviets were.
No.
So Arvin and Ivan are two different things.
Arvin is South Vietnam government.
Yeah.
Yep.
Soviet Union to have Vietnamese. NVA. NVA meaning for North Vietnam soldier. And in Vietnam, South Vietnam soldier, ARVN.
Army Vietnam.
Yeah, Army
ARVN. Yep.
So that's the allies to the U.S.
Yeah. And you had, to my knowledge, when I was here, you didn't have any Russians in South Vietnam, but you did in North Vietnam, doing air defense and that kind of stuff. But we did find Chinese advisors supporting from the other side.
But U.S. never had a conflict with Russia during the war, or we just didn't talk about it when it happened.
We just didn't talk about it, but it was. The helicopters that came from the Russians.
But the Russians not pulling the trigger, or the Russians are pulling the trigger?
No, they supplied them, and then both North Vietnamese and Viet Cong used them, but they were supplying them.
Same thing that happened in Afghanistan.
And male temple, and the male, another female and a male temple.
Wow.
And a male temple, In front of the male temple, get happy Buddha.
Do they still do weddings there?
Yeah.
Good.
And here for happy Buddha. Happy
Oh
Buddha.
yes.
When people it called happy
Big
Buddha.
smile.
Big smile, big belly, and smiling, and there some people so quiet, so angry at home, and went them to see the Buddhists, and they make.
And they have, they take care of stuff.
You take care of almost the temple around here. Yeah. Everything clean, and haircut flower make from bonsai, and everything take care for incense. Kick back out her in there. Yep. You go inside, take a look, King.
So that's where they live?
Yeah. So where they live? The getting room here. Here the kitchen.
Forget so much.
Here the kitchen for the kitchen for the monk. And the monk right now, the monk for having dinner. Having an itinerary all day. Itinerary all day. Okay. They eat very good food.
Okay.
Ở đây ăn cơm ngon quá. Hôm nay cũng là bánh chưng à. Hôm nay cũng cơm ngon đúng không? Cơm rất là ngon. Mày ăn cơm này tối còn ăn nữa không? 8-9 giờ tối còn ăn cơm nữa không? Ngày 3 bữa hả?
So you would fly on that other side in between this and those mountains?
I'm trying to locate the airport, Chip.
I thought the airport was way down there.
Yeah. It's just probably right. It's only just on this side of that mountain over there, not very far from it.
Right.
And this river, we crossed it all the time, but we tried not to fly down the river because the bad guys use the river as their highway.
Oh, so anytime you're on the river, they're on boats.
Yeah.
Okay. More stairs. There he is. Knees are holding up. He's doing good.
One camera, maybe 4, 5 lakhs. Train.
This will do everything.
Yeah, everything.
All those things. This will do everything.
Everything, yeah. The new Sky camera, they did everything.
Stairs are pretty brutal. They're all uneven, and you have to really step down. They're like maybe 2 or 3 inches taller than they should be, so you kind of have to go sideways. Yeah, hopefully we're done. We're getting to the elevator soon, I think.